Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jake Rowell. I'm here with my broadcast partner tonight, Brandon Domain, bringing you the first race in the round of two for SRN's Xfinity Series playoffs here at COTA. Man, Brandon, how you doing tonight?
I am good because I don't have to worry about COTA anymore as a driver. It's a challenge for these guys. You'll have to deal with this one on Sunday. I think you'll probably do a whole lot better than I did last night. But man, this track, it's technical, but it is fun to race on, and hopefully we get a good race here tonight with the Xfinity guys.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, you had a great run yourself last night, getting a top five at a tough track like COTA. It's going to be an interesting race tonight, seeing these Xfinity cars go around here. They're going to have 25 laps to do it. They're going to get one faster pair, so one less than you guys in the Truck Series last night. So I think the All-American 85 is going to be awesome here at the Circuit of Americas.
Yeah, that one fast repair could be very important. I know a lot of drivers yesterday, myself included, in practice especially, found out that it's really easy to lose the stability of the car or the truck getting around here as flat as this track is when you come out of some of these turns. So hopefully they don't need it, but at least they have it in their back pocket should they need that fast repair.
Exactly, because if these guys have to pit earlier than their probably only one pit stop during this race, that's going to be really, really tough for them to make up that time lost on pit road. So, but we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. We're gonna break down the league here for you fans at home here at Speed Racing Network in the Xfinity Series. It's We're going to jump into the matching wits with Gerwitz, and we're going to have Danny Setzer, one of our drivers in our series, as well as an admin in the series. So here you go, fans.
We are back with another installment of Matching Wits with Gerwitz. This week we have Cup Driver and League Admin Danny Setzer. Danny, how are you today?
Man, I'm doing good, Aaron. How are you?
Just another day, just another fine day up here. But we're going to change up the things here. We're not going to talk as much as your performance this year as we've done with other drivers, but seeing that you're an admin, we want to get a little bit of insight on how Speed Racing Network became to be, and yeah, just kind of get your opinion on things.
Yeah. Um, as most of the old school guys know, Speed Racing Network started out as Mid-South Madness. Myself, Jason Tripp, and Corey Knight all actually work for the same company. And as legend has it, Corey called Jason one night while he was sitting at dinner. I think he was actually about to be on his way to a Tool concert. And Corey was just like, "Hey, man, are you on iRacing?" He's like, "Yeah." He's, "Man, we should start a league." And, that's just how it sprung up from there. You got a lot of the old school guys that were in there. I joined fourth or fifth race of the season. Jason and I were actually pretty much working out of the same office. The COVID lockdown had started. So we were working out of the same office. I'd already started watching him run in the IVCS, and I just got hooked on it. So I ran my first race at Daytona in a truck. I think it was the first time that I got on there, and I was actually using a Thrustmaster T80, baby's first steering wheel, and I had no pedals, so I was using a mouse and a keyboard. I was using the mouse buttons and the space bar for gas and brake. That went horrible, but upgraded from there. And once we got going in Mid-South Madness, Jason just came up with this grand vision of how he wanted to expand things, and he started talking a lot with Corey about turning Mid-South Madness into SRN. He brought me on board, brought a couple other people on board. Sean Griffith actually wrecked me out of a race while we were racing, and he messaged me instantly. It's just his character. He's like, "Man, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to end your night. I can't apologize enough." And I went to Jason. I was like, "Man, this is the kind of guy that that we need in SRN, just that kind of stand-up guy." And just look what Sean's turned into. We can't thank this guy enough. I mean, he's an accountant, during an extended tax time, and this guy puts in 4, 5, 6 nights a week to make these amazing broadcasts for us, and just can't thank him enough.
Yeah, he does an excellent job, and yeah, did not know that, but let's continue on. What is your insight, and what changes might we see going into season 2 in the later half of the summer?
Yeah, there's a lot of things in the works. I can't really go into a lot of detail about all the changes that will be made to the main leagues and everything. But one of the things that we do well, and one of the things that I think sets us apart from the rest of the other leagues out there, is we listen to our drivers. I can't think of another league that would send out a survey to every driver in the league just to get their input of, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, what changes they would make. And, Sean and Jason read through every single one of those surveys, didn't miss a single one, read through every question, and they took all that stuff to heart, and they brought a lot of things to the table. And I think a lot of drivers will be happy with some of the changes that we make next year to try to better the league.
Yes, it's definitely something everyone wants to see, is try to better some of these short track events to get more long green flag runs. But
Absolutely.
brings us to our last question. What's the big picture you guys are trying to get out of this?
Well, we have the 3 leagues right now, and at the start of the season, we had pretty much filled up all 3 leagues. We had, we tried to gauge interest in, how much interest we were going to have in all 3 leagues. The truck league filled up first. The Xfinity league filled up right after that. And then, we had the truck league almost full the Cup league almost full by the start of the season. So, we were really happy with how it all turned out. At this point for the future of the league, and I think, I can speak for myself and the rest of the admins, we want to expand upon that. We have talked about dirt. We have talked about open wheel league. Of course, we have the other league that we were testing out. It was ran by Mike Lepicki, Derek De Silva, and myself, that we were doing on Tuesday nights for IMSA style racing with the GT cars and the LMP2s. So, things of that nature. I think the end result is we want to be able to gather talented drivers from around the country and around the world. And no matter what kind of racing you enjoy, we want you to be able to call Speed Racing Network home.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's good. You want to branch out and get as many people involved as you can.
Right.
But I hear you have an announcement to make before we wrap this up.
Yes. One of the things that I've been cleared to talk about, like I said, I couldn't go into too much detail, but we have another league that is going to run concurrent with the 3 leagues that we already have next season. As I stated before, Corey Knight was the original founder and president of Mid-South Madness, and we are happy to announce that with Speed Racing Network Season 2, we will be bringing back SRN's Mid-South Madness. And what it will be is a ARCA league, and we are going back to grassroots style racing. ARCA cars, all short tracks, just, door rubbing, good time, no entry fees, non-broadcasted, just the old school guys and some of the new guys just all getting together and racing. And we're also going to use that as kind of an introductory or farm league to bring in additional talent and have them try out for our other leagues through the ARCA league, because there's talented drivers everywhere. They're all over the place, but we want to have the right attitude of drivers. Myself, I'm a Kurt Busch fan. I like Kyle Busch, but as talented as he is, I would trade 12 Kyle Bushes for one Mark Martin. We like that kind of driver, just the stand-up guys. And we think this ARCA league may be a good way to bring people in and, just kind of audition them to see if they're right for Speed Racing Network.
I think that is a very good idea, but that is unfortunately, all the time we have for Danny Setzer. And good luck on Sunday, Danny.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, so a lot of good things ahead for the Speed Racing Network, as we got to hear about there on Matching Wits with Gerwitz. But there's still a lot to get to this season, and that does include the race payouts for tonight and for this season. Tonight we'll be paying out the top 4 drivers. If you finish in the top 4, you get at least your money back, with third and fourth getting that $10 entry fee, second place getting $20, first place getting $40 for taming the Texas sized Circuit of the Americas. And we also have our season payouts that'll be big money as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping that Texas thing. Everything's bigger in Texas, and that's kind of how we roll with it here at Speed Racing Network. You've seen our season payouts brought to you by Griffith CPA. First place in the team driver championship, that's going to be $500, all the way down to fifth place. Even if you're the final of the 5 drivers, you get $100. So that's half of every single race entry fee for the season. And then that team championship, $200 going towards your team, whether that's 4 or 5 drivers. That's an extra $40 to $50 a piece there. So a lot of money coming out of Speed Racing Network, with along with all the new things that were kind of spotted on by Danny Setzer there in that Matching Wits with Gerwitz segment. So here at Speed Racing Network, man, we are here for our fans as well as our drivers and sponsors.
Another thing that is up for grabs through the Clean Driver Award is the butt kicker system. The winner of the Clean Driver will get a free butt kicker, which is a really cool device that you can attach to the seat. Just adds an extra element of things to the racing experience that'll help with the good old butt radar that some of the drivers will talk about, where you get that extra feel for where the car is going.
Absolutely. And last night, Brandon, there was a high of 79 incident points for this. So these guys tonight need to be aware of that. Can really kill them in that standings there. But you see here the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Team Championship standings up front, man. It's all Bronco Motorsports with those 4 wins. Got about a 150-point lead over Tank Racing, who's got 3 wins themselves. Then third place is going to be Roel Smith Racing with 4 wins at 1745. And then the remaining 3 teams who are kind of mathematically out of this thing so already, Brandon, it's going to be Rev Racing in 4th, Team SRN in 5th, and R&D Motorsports in 6th.
Yeah, and it says plenty when you look at the win column alone that you see 11 of the 13 race wins have gone to those 3 top teams. It tells you about how dominant those 3 have been all season, and it's tightened up a little bit, but it is Broncos to lose at this point.
Definitely, and even if you aren't in the the first playoff standings, we do have our second tier playoffs brought to you by Flavor Bomb. You can check them out at fbbq.com. You see Danny Dow right now leading this thing in first place, and then you got all these other drivers all the way down to Greg Olenek in 10th right now. But there's a lot of points to be made here at COTA. If you're a little bit better on a road course, someone like Nick Goen right now who's leading this thing in practice, he can make up some valuable points here at COTA.
Yeah, and another part too, looking at this right now as we start qualifying, I do not see Danny Dow out there, so this Flavor Bomb Tier 2 playoff going to be shaken up a good bit, and we're also going to reset the points and go for the second round of 3 races for the final 10 drivers in the playoffs, which Rhett Tucker had that points lead after the opening round by just 1 over Jovi Sagiped. They lead the way into the second set of 3 races. It was Daniel Bowdler that made it in by just 1 point after Dover last week.
Yeah, I made it in by 1 point. Now, if you look at the standings right now at practice as our drivers are qualifying, Daniel Bowdler is the fastest playoff driver. So, he makes it in by the, skin on his, just barely getting in there. And now he's, the quickest guy. So, kind of, a 180 flip for him. So, it'll be interesting to see how these playoff guys, tackle the monster here at Circuit of the Americas.
And somebody looking to keep the momentum going that he had in round number 1 is Rhett Tucker. He enters this second round as the number 1 seed, even though we do reset it all to 3,000. He had an average start of 10th, an average finish of 6th this season, so it's no wonder that Rhett and his 4 wins have been on top this season. When we went to the Daytona Road Course in January, started 5th, finished 3rd. See if he can back that up here tonight in Austin.
Yeah, and second here is going to be Jovi Sagiped, who you see on your screen right now, qualifying here. Jovi's had 3 wins on this season so far, 2 of them which, though, have come within the postseason. So when the time is ready to go for Jovi, man, he's been really fast. But, I got to say, He definitely underperformed to his liking at Daytona Road Course. He kind of struggled there. Started 22nd, finished 18th. However, though, I know, as a team driver of mine on Roel Smith Racing, he's just trying to get out of here with a good as possible finish for himself, keep himself on the track, just to kind of conserve as many points as possible moving on to Charlotte and Michigan.
Similar strategy perhaps for Gregory Joyner on the last road course we went to. Greg started 8th, finished in 6th. It was a clean, solid outing, something that'll go a long way here on the first of 3 races in round number 2. That's really what we've come to expect from him week in and week out, no matter the track. Keep in mind, has not won a single race this season, so Greg, I feel you there in the truck side of things. But he still has 2 more top 10s than anyone else in the league. I would expect for him to add to that total tonight.
Definitely, and we'll move on to our 4th place driver. That's going to be Zachary Taylor for Tank Racing. Zach's definitely one of the more talented drivers we have in Speed Racing Network. When he's on, he's absolutely on fire. But then there's also been some moments in the season where, he's just been kind of off, and he'll end up, getting wrecked out and actually just leave the race. But I tell you what, you can't do that now in the playoffs, Brandon. You got to get every single point you can. He's had 10 top 10 so far in our 14 races. And then those 4 others, like I just said, they've been finishes of 24th or worse. So when the good is good for Zach, he's definitely up in the front of the pack, trying to get top 5s. That's what he's going to be looking for here tonight. That way, if he does have a mishap here, he doesn't have to really worry about some magical Hail Mary at either Charlotte or Michigan later on.
Someone that did have a bit of a Hail Mary last week was Dylan Patterson. Going into the cut week at Dover, Dylan was only 2 points above the cut line, needed a big race to claim his spot into the playoff 10, and he wound up putting himself on the podium. He has only missed 2 races this season, but one of them was the Daytona Road Course. Nobody really knowing what to expect out of him when it comes to road racing, though qualifying looks pretty good for him at this point. But if I had to put money on it, I'd say a top 10 finish is likely, but he is going to be the wild card of those playoff drivers tonight.
Yeah, and moving into our 6th place driver right now for the playoffs, that's going to be Aaron Gerwitz in the 09 for Rev Racing. Last week at Dover during the truck race, it was revealed by one of Rev Racing's driver, Brian McDonald, that they had been practicing COTA for quite a bit. And last night it showed in the truck series. Michael Madden, one of his teammates in the truck series, took home 2nd place. So clearly that practice has been paying off. We'll see if Aaron Gerwitz can do it again for another Rev Racing driver here tonight at COTA. If he's practicing as much as they say, he should definitely be finishing near the top once this thing's all said and over with.
The road course not too kind for Bo Tiffany back in January. Started 28th, finished 24th at Daytona, and that's actually the worst finish he had this season, but he has been working on this track a lot. Fully believe that he will improve on that finish here tonight for the man entering this 2nd round of the playoffs in 7th.
Yeah, and on to our next driver in 8th. That's going to be Mike Lepicki for the 46 car for Tank Racing. If you ask Mike, he'll definitely be the first one to tell you he's not really the biggest fan of these road courses. He doesn't have to get the best finish here tonight. But I think, as long as Mike kind of keeps himself within 5 to 6 points of the cut line after COTA tonight, he's going to have all the opportunity at Charlotte and Michigan. He's really fast at those ovals. We seen it all season long so far. Mike's just got to keep himself in striking distance to make sure he's in that final 5.
Next up, man, entering 9th is Devin Zimmerman, and Devin actually has a bit more experience than some of the drivers here may actually have. He ran a race at COTA last week for the Air Force Gaming team, so that experience could pay off. However, in that race, track limits did him in, but now he knows what he's working with, which is a much bigger advantage than you might think. 20 unique turns, the more laps you've had in the actual race here, the better your chances, so he's somebody to keep an eye on tonight.
Absolutely, and someone that really needs to be watched out for tonight, it's going to be that 6 car, Daniel Bowler, who squeaked into the round of 10 last week at Dover, getting in by 1 point. Now, this is going to sound pretty impressive to you, Brandon. In 7 road course races Daniel Bowler has with Speed Racing Network, he has 2 wins, 2 second-place finishes, as well as 2 other top 10s in those 7 races. So this man right here barely gets into the round of 10. Now we start off the 2nd round at a road course. He's going to definitely gain a ton of points on these guys. So he knows how to get around a road course cleanly. He's definitely got the the ability to get a great finish here tonight. That's really going to position himself for an absolutely great shot to make that final 5 for the final race at Texas going into Charlotte, Michigan.
And for who might have the biggest advantage, as it is a little bit difficult to pass here on the racetrack, and it's Nick Gowen that has a giant advantage. Look at that gap time. He'll be on the pole for Bronco Motorsports, 1.68 seconds ahead of Daniel Bowdler in second.
Yeah, and in third place, we got Rhett Tucker for Bronco Motorsports. Fourth place going to be Dustin Scruggs in the 11 for Roel Smith Racing. Tank Racing's own Zachary Taylor going to be rolling off P5.
Yeah, and he'll be joined by his teammate Devin Zimmerman, who will start in the outside of row 3. Jovi Sagiped and Dylan Patterson, a couple of other playoff drivers in row number 4.
Yeah, and 8th place going to be Dylan Patterson. 9th place going to be Gregory Joyner for Bronco Motorsports. 10th place going to be Greg Olenek from Rev Racing. 11th place going to be Nathaniel Mon, another Bronco Motorsports car. So that's 3 so far in the top 12. And then rounding out our top 12 is going to be Daniel Keith Jr. in the 23 for Team SRN.
Wow, that 1.7 second gap about for Nicholas Gowen over Daniel Bowdler, that's just incredible. He was over 2 seconds quicker than third. But now I guess the question's going to be, is it just short run speed, or is that going to be some long-term speed that we'll see over the 25 laps here around Austin?
Yeah, we're definitely going to see what that 88 car has on that long run. But, Brandon, we like to make our picks up here in the booth for who we think's going to win the race. I'll go ahead and give you first dibs of who to take, man. Who are you going with here tonight?
You know what? It's going to be easy to pick one person out of what we just saw. However, the last time I picked him, I kind of jinxed him. I'm going to give him a break on that one from the broadcast jinx. So I'm going to do something a little off the wall here. I'm going to go with my favorite car design out here. I'm somebody that grew up in Texas. I love me some Whataburger. Emerson Arden's got the Whataburger car paint scheme going out there. He's going to be starting 15th, but I'm going to go with him just to represent Texas a little bit.
There you go. Not a bad-looking machine. Always can't complain with some Whataburger. You left me the easy pick of the 88, but I'll go with someone else just because of how fast that 88 car is. I think the 6 car, he's got a shot. Daniel Bowdler, again, just squeaking into the playoffs. Kind of that adversity, I think it's going to roll over here to COTA. Maybe Nick makes a mistake or gets caught up in some lap traffic, something like that, where, Daniel's able to reel him in and kind of give him a run for his money here in 25 laps here at COTA.
And we saw it last night where it was, Cole Martin and Corey Saucier were really the 2 fastest guys out there by a long way. Cole did not have any problems. Corey had a few issues on the track, and it relegated him to, I believe it was a 3rd place finish. Anything can happen on this track. Very technical, and a lot of mistakes can be made.
Yeah, definitely. And, the first thing that kind of comes to mind is once these guys make this last corner here and down the front stretch, they're all going to be barreling down into turn 1, that uphill 90-degree left-hander. It's going to be interesting to see if anyone kind of overshoots it or if guys are just, super aggressive early on here, just kind of dive bombing. But Nick Gowen, man, all over that gas pedal early. He's going to pull away quite a bit from the field, kind of let him and Daniel Bowdler get away a little bit. That way they don't get run over from behind or run over one another. But you see, Daniel Bowdler already trying to peek to the inside and Nick Gowen trying to take the lead early.
Actually, all handled that first turn really well with the closing rate that we saw for a couple of the guys, including Rhett Tucker there in that blue and white car. This is great news for the top 5, though, as they stretch out single file, and they might be able to pull away from some of the 2-wide racing entering the S's behind them.
Yeah, 2 wide through the S's is not exactly what you want to be doing here, especially at COTA. Those turtles, they will definitely send the car flying and really unsettle you in the driver's seat. But Nick Gowen right now trying to get away as quickly as possible. He's already got over a second lead on Daniel Bowdler, who's kind of got some hungry cats behind him. Dustin Scruggs, we don't talk about a lot, is up here in P3. Got his friend right there behind him, and then Rhett Tucker in that 81 car. So some of these guys are going to try to make early moves there. We saw a little bit of contact there with Jovi Sagiped and Devin Zimmerman. That 3 car's definitely got some damage.
that's pretty significant damage there on the back, and it looks like the nose as well. He might have gotten caught up in some kind of an accordion situation there. Possibly, I would imagine it would be going into that sharp left that sets up this near mile-long backstretch as we got Rhett Tucker going to the inside of Dustin Scruggs. That'll be for third position.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker definitely getting back up to P3 right now. You know, it's early, so you don't want to, you know, force the issue there if you're Dustin. You know, it's a little early to be side-by-side racing. Kind of let one guy go, and then you can get back to him as you see kind of Rhett get a little wide there in that corner. And Zach Taylor going to make contact with Dustin Scruggs, and Devin Zimmerman had to kind of come to a park right there to not hit the 11 too much, as that 33 car has a little bit of left front damage. So, you know, here on lap 1, Brandon, you know, we've seen quite a bit of contact.
Yeah, and there's some significant damage to a few of these cars, and typically at a road course you wouldn't really think a whole lot of it, but there's a couple of really long straightaways here. That back stretch, you know, it's over 3,000 feet. You have that long front stretch with the uphill. We got a little smoke there. Somebody, I believe, locked it up going into that final turn 20. So speed is going to be a factor here, plus you have the technical aspect of some of these turns. Any aero sensitivity could play a factor there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, the long back stretch, you know, the front stretch quite a bit of distance too. So any sort of aero damage is really going to affect your straightaway speed. You know, especially with those two straightaways, they, you know, kind of set up really good passing zones for these drivers. So, you know, it's something to keep an eye out on. You know, as long as the car's not overheating, though, I kind of think you don't want to come down pit lane an extra time, because that's just a lot of time to have to give up and try to make that back, you know, with such a short race. You know, it is only 25 laps, but to have to go down pit lane, you know, that's got to be at least 30, 35 seconds. So that could really kind of be the nail in the coffin in your night if you have to come down one extra time.
And as weird as it sounds, the first turn I'm thinking of for those drivers with some of that body damage is the one that Nicholas going just passed before this turn. That downhill left, it's not a significant looking turn, but it is really unsettling for these cars at times. If you come across it a little bit too tight, or if you just have this full throttle and you're just going way too hard onto that one, it is possible to really disturb the car. So that might be the turn to look out for some of these guys that have some of that body damage.
Yeah, definitely. The little left-hander kink before the hairpin before the backstretch, man. It's we've practiced a lot and had quite a bit of fun there through that corner, going too wide through there. It kind of sends you dirt track, and like you said, you know, if you're going through it too quick, you know, the rear end kind of kicks out and loses it underneath you. So it's a blast, though. This track, you know, a lot of guys don't like it because of how technical it is, but, you know, it kind of really, you know, lets you hone in your road racing skills, and, you know, kind of just brings out the, you know, the best in people. So it's going to be interesting to see how this race goes. So, and there you go, man. Your pick right there, Emerson Ardon, kind of making his way to the front so far, picking up a couple spots here early.
Doing it for Whataburger. He's all the way up to 12th right now after starting 15th. So nice little run that he's got going. And lap times aren't looking too bad, as he's only about 3 seconds away from 8th place Devin Zimmerman. So there's a chance for Emerson to continue to move up.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, there's going to be that aspect of it, too, with pit strategy. You know, when do you come in? You know, if guys get a little bit earlier on the pit lane, they can make up some time. Things like that, as well as just, you know, who can get in and out of pit lane, you know, into your box faster. You know, with no yellows, you know, tonight it's all just going to be, you know, green flag racing with just local yellows. Dustin Scruggs really out of shape coming out of turn 1 with that elevation change. If you're too hard on the gas, man, that's kind of what happened. That right there is exactly what will happen to your car.
Without question. And I think everybody really looks at the S's as the point that is that series of turns where everything can go wrong in a hurry. But coming out of turn 1, that kink that they're about to take here in a couple seconds, it's going to be this next turn after this one coming up. Those are really turns that can unsettle the car because of the elevation change. There's that big downhill going through that turn. They all take it well this time. But like you were talking about,
Devin
you go through
Zimmerman
there.
really going to send
nice
it in
run.
the inside.
Oh, he's going to have to lock it up, trying to stay off the 31. And he'll probably be giving up that position, as I don't think he had a great exit going down this long backstretch.
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't mean to cut you off there. It was just a really late dive bomb, and that's, you know, that's how you got to get it done sometimes, you know, here especially at a track like COTA where there's limited, easy passing areas. That way you don't have to put yourself in a bad situation. But like you said, Zimmerman got to the inside there, but Greg's just able to get the drive off the corner, which is really going to help you carry more speed down the straightaway, especially here at COTA on that backstretch. Kind of have a little gaggle of cars right here, Brandon. About 5 to 6 guys just kind of lined up in a single file line, just waiting for one another to make a mistake.
Yeah, it's this really odd patience game around here too, and it was something that I thought Michael Madden last night did a great job of. Where we got Brad Williams going off track here for a little excursion there as Nick Gowen continues to lead, but I thought last night Michael Madden wound up second place in that race. Did a great job of just being patient. There were even times on the race chatter just saying, "Hey, if you got to run, go," and it will give you the position. So. That paid off in a big way. He saved the tires, saved a lot of the equipment, and it really worked for him late in the race. So you might be seeing some of the drivers just taking it easy here in this first stint.
Yeah, definitely. And we see Dustin Scruggs going to the inside of Devin Zimmerman. He's going to see if that inside works, and it really does. He kind of gapped himself there by about 2 car lengths coming out of turn 1 over Devin Zimmerman, but you see him come down the hill through the S's here. They're going to go under the Echo Park bridge, and that's where you can make up a lot of time if you're really smooth through here. As you see Dustin Scruggs, he kind of was getting out of shape, but right now, man, that battle for second place is heating up between Daniel Bowler and Rhett Tucker. Rhett's kind of reeled in Daniel Bowler right now, and he's just kind of waiting and looking for an opportunity to take over second place.
Yeah, and there's going to be a couple of good passing zones coming up here as they come out of that left and go down the backstretch. There's going to be another one at the end of this long backstretch. That's a great passing opportunity. I think a real sneaky one as well is that series of rights that comes up right after this. If you can get a decent run into the middle of that even, I think that's a place where you can kind of catch somebody off guard. It's not a traditional passing zone like this one is as Tucker gets to the inside, but it's Bowdler with a great run off of that turn as he goes into this double right, and he's going to actually pull away, but he's going to lock it up.
He overshoots it, yeah. Went in a little too hot in that corner there, and that opened the door for Rhett to get to his inside. Now he's going to pull away. Rhett kind of taking a little bit of a different line through that section, a little something different than I've seen guys roll through that section there of the course, but he makes it work. He's going to try to drive away from the 6th car and see if he can't run down his teammate Nicholas Gowen for the lead right now. But Nick Gowen, man, I tell you what, we haven't showed him, but he is up to almost an 8-second lead on second place. So this 88 car of Nick Gowen right now is just absolutely flying out on the track. This is exactly why I didn't want to pick him, because it was just going to be, unless he gets involved in a mishap with a lap car or makes his own mistake, I just had a feeling this is the type of night we were going to see Nick Gowen kind of finally get out and break out and get his first win here. I know it's still early. There's still 21 laps to go, but, just kind of shows you the dedication and hard work he's put in this week for Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, I think that was kind of an unspoken agreement that we had there that let's just lay off this one and go with some other picks here. But his lap times, 2:15, 2:16, 2:16, 2:17. So his first 4 lap times in the race are faster than the second quickest qualifying time. So Gowen is absolutely just ripping through this Circuit of the Americas.
It definitely is. And, again, we see this 57 car of Emerson Ardon, who's trying to make his way through the field right now. Started 15th up to 12th. Dustin Scruggs, though, spun the car through the S's. It doesn't look like he got into the wall at all, so he's going to be able to get this thing going again, not have to use a tow. Car doesn't look too much damage. I actually think that damage was there previously from another incident, or just point of contact with another driver earlier on. So right now he's able to get it going, but right here we got Greg Olenek, who's going to try to look to the inside of that 8 car, Dylan Patterson, but Patterson charged the corner really hard, going to lock him up, and unfortunately for him, going to lose that spot to that 31 car of Greg Olenek, who's going to take over the 5th spot from Dylan Patterson.
And just that one lockup, you can see how much time he lost. He went from about a half second ahead to a full second behind, and that's just out of one turn where you make that mistake. And now it's going to be get your composure back and try not to compound the mistake with another one.
And Dylan Patterson,
I think he got it again.
Yeah, really overshot the corner. Going to lose both of those spots to Jovi Sagiped and Greg Joyner, man. That was a huge lockup there. Greg Olnick Greg Joyner all over the curb on the inside there, that right-hander. So Dylan Patterson in one lap has lost 3 positions. So you got to, kind of take a deep breath, relax, maybe move back those braking points because you've clearly overshot the last 2 corners by a mile. Now it's cost you 3 spots. So you got to be aware of that. Kind of just, take a mental note and kind of just back it up a little bit so you're not doing that every single lap.
Yeah, and at this point, I mentioned it after the first one. Now, just composure here. You can't compound these mistakes. It's real easy to do that, where you lose a second and a half in one turn. You think, I got to get it back right now. It's that emotional side of it. But you see him still just whipping this car around. He's having a handful with that 8.
Yeah, he definitely is. That right there, he's being super aggressive, getting back onto the gas, coming out of the final corner down the front, just trying to maintain the gaps to the cars in front of him and behind him, just losing some traction. But that guy behind him, the 57 of Emerson Ardon, up to 9th place now, trying to work his way, maybe try to get to the top 5 here before this thing's over with. He's slowly but surely, taking one at a time, as you see him now trying to get this 8 car again through the S's here.
He was a top 10 driver at the Daytona road course back in January on the only other road course race of the season, in the top 10 now, and continuing to just chip away at these positions, and still not too far away from even 6th place. You're only looking at a little under 3 seconds to Jovi Sagiped, who has that 3 car in that 6th position.
Definitely, and we'll see if Emerson doesn't try to peek to the inside here into the heavy braking zone before the hairpin here down to the back, and sure enough, he does. But I think Dylan Patterson's going to set up the crossover and make it a run down the back. But again, Patterson getting a little squirrely, getting back on the gas there. So it's going to allow Emerson to drive away and make himself not, get under attack again from Dylan on another hard braking zone down here at the end of the back straightaway. But again, up here for second. This is, the battle for P2 right now. Rhett Tucker got around Daniel Ballard, but Daniel's kind of, just holding him at bay at about, a half-second gap here to, him and the 81 car.
And honestly, if you're within a couple seconds of somebody, when we get to about midway through, when we start seeing these green flag pit stops, and we are guaranteed green flag pit stops, there are no full course cautions tonight, only local yellows, so it's only affecting certain turns. But there's a way that you can definitely make up a couple seconds. If you catch the guy in front of you a little off guard, you can have this nice heavy dive into the pits, because those cones that start the speed trap, they go back a pretty good way. Now, you can't go full speed. There's still a little bit of tightness there. But that, as long as you're within a couple seconds of somebody, here in the next 6-7 laps, you got a good shot at maybe closing in and possibly passing them coming out of the pits by making up some time down there.
Exactly, and that's the thing. If you can get on and off pit road, at a road course in our league, we don't have yellow flags, so it's a really good way to, gain a ton of time on guys. So that's something we're going to have to watch, like you said. But right now we're going to have some contact going into turn 1. The 33 Devin Zimmerman definitely got into the left side. Oh, and Dylan Patterson going to get into the back of him as they come out of turn 1. So a little bit of contact given both ways there. And unfortunately, the 33 going to get spun around at the top of the hill after turn 1.
Ooh, a little chippiness here with a couple playoff drivers getting into turn 1. Little contact going in from the 33 to the 8. It looked like he just, not sure if he broke a little late or Patterson broke a little early after having a couple of those overshoots entering turns. Either way, there was contact there, and then the 8 just goes right into the 33 on the exit of turn 1.
We're going to see a wreck replay here. No yellow, obviously, but we're going to give you a Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia wreck replay here of what just happened at the top of the hill out of turn 1 between the 8 car of Dylan Patterson and the 33 of Devin Zimmerman. So this is going into turn 1. Zimmerman coming in with a little bit of heat, a little bit of speed there. Those 2 cars were side by side, and I just think the 8 just, a little unhappy with what happened there. And, that's kind of what happened there, if you ask me, Brandon.
Yeah, I never really want to jump to that conclusion, but it's got the feel of a little bit of frustration there coming out from the 8 towards the 33 after that contact entering. And look at the run that Devin Zimmerman had on the 8. And yeah, he came in hot. You could see him lock it up just a little bit, and that contact might be the little bit of the last straw there for Dylan, who's had a rough couple of laps.
Yeah, and again, like you said, the 8's just got to compose himself. So does the 33. If you're Zimmerman, you just got, you loop the car, and you just got to, compose yourself, get going again, because you can't, let things rattle you here. You got to put in the lap times to get back going again so you don't lose more time. Not sure what happened here. Yeah, it looks like the 3 car.
So we'll go back to the Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia Rec Replay. Check out what happened here to Jovi Sagiped, who entered the second round of the playoffs in second after that first round.
Oh, yeah, just gets too wide. I think he got into the grass there and tried to save the car. Did a good job not spinning out, hitting anything, and, that's why we saw the 85 and him really, really close when we caught up to him, as you're going to see him here. Just get really, really wide into the AstroTurf and then into the actual grass, and that's what's going to unsettle that 3 car. But, he doesn't hit anything. No one else hits him. Just some time lost, and the 3 car is back going again. And he's actually run down Gregory Joyner again, so we'll see if the 3 car can't get back by him, even though, we just saw him spin it out and, get back going.
Yeah, that was actually rather impressive, because that was pretty harmless. Yes, there's the time loss, and there's going to be a little bit extra tire wear, but that could have been a whole lot worse there for Jovi.
Oh, absolutely. If Greg was this close to him at that point, these 2 guys could have made contact. We see Jovi go to the inside, going to really send it in deep. It's going to hurt his exit, as you're going to see this 85 car be able to come out wide and get a big run. But Jovi kind of protecting it, kind of, throwing a little bit of a block so the 85 couldn't get the run, that I'm sure Greg wished he got. But these 2 are going to be side by side coming down here into the braking zone down the back stretch. This is going to be who can outbrake one another, the most. Hopefully both of these 2 don't send it in there too deep, and then they're both losing even more spots. But looks like the 3 car going to prevail this time through that corner.
Yeah, that's a solid job there through the turn. You can see a lot of respect from both of them, and they both are playoff drivers. They're 4th and 5th out of the playoff drivers right now, so they definitely want to keep that in mind. You don't want to be making a mistake that just gives you this big damage or really sets you back, especially in the first race of 3 in this second round of the playoff.
Definitely. And back up here to the battle of P2. You see Rhett Tucker in the 81 and Daniel Ballard, who's kind of closed the gap to him. It's only about 4 tenths now. Last time we checked on these drivers, it was about a second to a second and a half for second place. And you see in the background Zachary Taylor in that 14 car, ever so slightly kind of closing in on these 2. So if these 2 guys here start racing one another really hard, that's going to allow the 14 to close up, and it's going to be a 3-car race for P2. But I tell you what, man, that 88 car is setting sail, and he's just kind of out for a Thursday night cruise. If you're Nicholas going right now, you're just, keeping it on track, not making too much of a mistake to where, it kind of lets these guys really reel you in or anything like that. So Nick Gowen, man, all you got to do is keep it on the track, and, I think you're going to be A-okay here in this 88 car.
Yeah, and believe it or not, it being a second and a half faster than second place over every lap, he's going to start closing in on lap traffic possibly before we get to these green flag stops. As you can see, the 89 of Brad Williams making his way through about 5 turns ahead of him, which really isn't that far in that section as you get that long back straightaway. So he's going to be cutting some of that time away, probably about 40 seconds in front of Gowen before you start seeing the lap traffic become a factor.
Definitely, and it's just again, he has put in the time and effort, obviously, to be able to be lapping guys soon here shortly, probably within the next few laps, and we're not even halfway yet. So that kind of just shows you the difference in speed. Oh, Daniel Ballard going to get into the side of the 81. These 2 are going to make heavy contact through the heavy right-hander section after the backstretch. And Zach Taylor going to take P2.
Wow, and that's all you got to do. Just keep it close to the cars in front of you, and you might be able to reap the benefits, and that's the case there for Taylor. That looked like significant impact, though, for Rhett Tucker, especially as he popped up airborne a little bit after this contact. As we go to the Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia Rec Replay to take a look at what happened here between second and third at this point.
Oh, and Daniel Ballard just got spun by Zachary Taylor.
Wow, there's no shortage of drama here in this race for second, third, and fourth. As you saw the first one, it looked like Bowdler just got in a little bit hot, and on that one, it was Taylor that just got loose, trying to keep it out of going too far off track. out of that left. And I think Tucker got caught up in that as well, just getting into the back of Taylor. And, man, a lot of damage for 3 very strong cars in about a quarter of a lap.
And Zachary Taylor actually brought it down pit lane that lap. So that's pretty early for a pit stop. You know, we're just hitting lap 10 of 25, so he's definitely going to have a longer run on that second set of tires. I'm not even sure if if he'll be able to make it on fuel again with this many laps remaining. It'll definitely be close, so he's got to be aware of that, on top of the fact of how much longer he's going to go on that second set of tires.
He's going to have to nurse that throttle a whole lot, because I don't think you can get 16 full laps, but he also is still on pit road, so there's no fast repair for the 14 being used. I'm not sure if that's an error or if that was a strategy call that he made. To me, I definitely would have used it there if you're coming in that early, but I mean, he might make it now, but it's because of the wrong reason, where he might have 1 or 2 laps shorter in this race to go.
Oh, and you know what? He actually had to tow the car. He stopped on the front stretch on the right side before the start-finish line, had to tow the car. So it makes you wonder, obviously he's blown the engine of some sort, now he's towed. Used his fast repair now as that 14 car is clean as a whistle and leaving pit lane right now, so he's definitely going to lose a ton of time. On top of the fact, I don't know if the fuel is going to be there to make it to the end, because he's going to have 16 laps to the end of this race. So that's going to be an interesting thing. You know, he's a playoff driver. He's definitely been one of the faster drivers all season long. So this is not how you want to start off the second round if you are this 14 car. But here we go again. Dustin Scruggs going to go to the inside of Devin Zimmerman. Dylan Patterson spun around here in front of these two guys that we were just pointing out on the track of Dustin Scruggs and Devin Zimmerman. So all of a sudden, Brandon, it seems like these last 2 laps, man, these tires have got to be coming out from underneath these drivers, because we've seen a lot of guys kind of losing the grip in their cars.
Yeah, and I kind of want to keep it here a little bit, because you can see where the 33 is compared to the 8, and what we saw earlier might not be done just yet, but this is an interesting point in the run, and we're still about 3 or 4 laps away from when you might see those green flag pit stops. And really, once you get about half, maybe 2/3 of the way through the run, you actually kind of have to start thinking about changing your driving style a little bit and shift points, and if you're even going to shift down an extra gear, just because the car gets lighter with the lower amount of fuel, the tires are worn out. Sometimes just getting out of the turn, if you're going to take a turn early in first gear, you don't necessarily want to do that late in the run, because you might just spin yourself out or just lose enough handling on the exit that it just hampers your run down the straightaway.
Definitely. There's, a number of things you can do to maintain those tires road racing, especially in these, NASCAR stock car, Xfinity truck or cup cars. So it's all about knowing what to do at the right time to conserve and make sure you've got yourself the pace throughout the entire run. Because you can be really, really fast early on in a run, but it really hurts you the longer this thing goes. So you got to be aware of that, and make sure you're not killing yourself for the long run. That obviously in Speed Racing Network on a road course, that's what we have. Without yellow flags, just the local yellows. If a car is spun out on the track, the yellow comes out just to notify the drivers that there's something to be cautious about. So you got to maintain your stuff throughout the entirety of a run. So these guys have to manage absolutely everything on their cars, especially the damage. Rhett Tucker's got quite a bit of damage on that rear spoiler. So again, to what you were talking about earlier, Brandon, how does that hurt him down the straightaways and things like that? A little bit slower maybe. Some of the higher speed corners, like the kink before the backstretch hairpin, how does that affect that car? And that's just something these guys are going to have to kind of feel out and overcome the longer this thing goes.
Oh, without question. And I think the S's are a big part too, where if you got some aero sensitivity, it's the car does not want to be settled, and thankfully for these guys tonight and for y'all on Sunday, it's going to be a lot easier than the truck, just because of how that truck just is basically a wind sail. And it's just so heavy, and it's harder to get going left to right, right to left, over and over. But there's still that sensitivity, and if there's that little bit of damage, it just throws you off a little bit. And also on exit of turns, just with that power trying to get everything back forward, it just might not respond the way that you were expecting it or got used to it. So those little changes can add up. As this is some great racing here This is for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, all under a blanket of about a second and a half as Emerson Arden goes wide off the track. And he'll maintain the position, though, as I think there was a good amount of give and take there. As pit stops are starting, it's Devin Zimmerman, the first one to make his way through, and Daniel Keith Jr. not far behind. The pit window is open at this point, but that's going to be a long run for that second stint.
Yeah, I mean, we still got 14 laps to go. You know, it's definitely not halfway down the middle if that's what you want to do. But maybe, you know, those guys, you know, they don't know if they could hang on to it for that many more laps. You know, we've seen a lot of guys get out of shape really easily, so makes you wonder how they're going to pan out for the longer the two runs, hitting this early with 14 laps to go. But you see here on board with Nick going, he's just cool, calm, and collective. I mean, that's pretty easy to do when you got a, you know, almost 20-second lead on second place. You can just be super easy, and, you know, you don't have to worry about any, you know, crazy pit strategy getting the guy behind you that much closer, because that is just a ton of time to have to make up. And you know, when Nick eventually pits and gets, you know, those 4 fresh tires on that car, obviously he's going to be very, very fast again. So, you know, Nick going in this 88 for, you know, Bronco Motorsports, you know, heck of a drive so far. Haven't seen a single off-track or mistake by him. So, you know, it's going to be tough to beat if you're this, you know, if you're anyone else in the field trying to get to this 88 car.
Yeah, and the nice thing for him now, he's 20 seconds clear, and I wouldn't have been too worried. Wow, great racing here, really tight. And I wouldn't have been too nervous for going. But being this far ahead, he also doesn't have to worry about, you know, like you were talking about with strategy, anybody doing that undercut strategy to try to just pick up some speed on the front end, and then just dealing with the tire wear being a little bit quicker earlier than everybody else on the back end once you get to that point later. It's a strategy that'll work, but it ain't going to make up 20 seconds.
No, not at all. And we see, I believe, Rhett Tucker just dove down pit lane, and that's the thing too. You know, he's obviously in the same Discord with them. Their teammates, you know, Rhett probably said, "Hey, I'm pitting this time." So now Nick going, you know, understands that guys are going to be coming in. So whether or not he wants to pit this time or maybe go one lap further, you know, he's definitely got a ton of buffer room to make that call for him. You know, I think Nick could, if we had the fuel, Nick could stay out for about 5 to 6 more laps and not even really need to worry about the gap to the car behind him. You know, he's over 21 seconds now on P2. So, you know, Nick has got tons of, you know, strategy. But a lot of these guys, you know, that we've seen all racing together, you know, makes sense for them to come down pit lane since, you know, there was, you know, 5, 6, 7 cars right there all together battling for 6th spot. You don't want to lose up that, or you don't want to lose that much time to those guys, because that's just going to make it ever so, you know, harder for yourself to get back up, you know, into those positions that you were before pit lane.
Yeah, and I think a good example of it is to keep an eye on the 57. He was in that 4 or 5 car fight there for position 6, 7, 8, 9. He's the only one that stayed out this time. I'm guessing he'll come in next time. But the 3 that he was racing all pitted, that was Patterson, Scruggs, and Joyner, all came in. So I'm curious to see how that gap plays out with the older tires staying out 1 additional lap and the fresh tires going on for the rest of the group.
Yeah, definitely. And another, you know, storyline we had early on, Zach Taylor, you know, remember had a tow and used his fast repair. Well, he's coming down pit lane again, probably to top it off on fuel. So, you know, there we were, you know, wondering if he'd be able to make it on fuel from pitting with 16 to go. And unfortunately for him, going to have to spend even more time down pit lane to, you know, fill it up with fuel. That way he can make the run to the end. And you see Nick going here is going to come by him and actually get him, you know, a lap down. So, but for Nick, man, it doesn't really, or for Zach, it won't have to matter because Nick still has to come down pit lane. So Zach obviously will get that lap back. But, you know, that's just the amount of time, you know, coming down pit lane twice already, as opposed to, you know, only coming down once, or obviously our leader right now hasn't come down. So Zach Taylor, you know, we've only got 12 laps to go. He's got a lot of time to make up on these guys if he wants to grab any more spots before this thing's over with.
One thing I just noticed as well, and yeah, we're in the green flag pit cycle, but it's been pretty much this way the entire race in some form or fashion. At the Daytona road course, we only had 3 of the playoff drivers that actually finished in the top 10 on our only other road course race this season. Right now, 7 of the 10 drivers remaining in the playoffs are in the top 10. And yes, there is the green flag pit stop, but it really has been that way, or at least 7 being in the top 11 or 12. this entire race, and that goes to the credit of the quality of the drivers that have made it this far into the playoff.
Definitely, and that's the thing too, right? As soon as you knew you were going to be able to be in the playoffs, how early did you start practicing for this race and things like that? I could speak on Roel Smith Racing. We've practiced ever. I mean, honestly, for 2 months. It's been a long time knowing how confident we felt getting into the playoffs and things like that, and for a lot of these guys, obviously the results are paying off right now for these guys.
No, without question, and that's kind of counter for what y'all were doing for what I did. I was too nervous to jinx the first round to really think about the second round. So I kind of got started on this one a little bit late after Dover actually, and really focused then. But there's some drivers and teams like y'all that have spent so long just practicing here, and it really has paid off.
Hey, buddy. Well, you still got home with a P5 last night, so you'll have an awesome opportunity with Charlotte and Michigan left, and I got to imagine you'll be able to make a good run to get into that top 5. But here we go. Our leader right now going to be coming down pit lane, that 88 car of Nicholas Goen. So we'll see how this pans out, and see the difference in time. Obviously, I don't believe the 81 is going to get remotely close to him, but just the difference in tires and things like that, and see how much these guys were able to kind of close in on him. But again, you got to make sure you don't speed down pit lane if you're the 88 or anything like that, or loop it on the cold tires coming out of pit lane. It can feel a whole lot different than when you had those older tires on them. So we'll see where Rhett Tucker comes out compared to when they hadn't gone into pit lane.
Yeah, it was about 20 seconds the gap 2 laps ago when Rhett Tucker made his pit stop, so we'll get a good look at the difference of the tires, but it's also going to be skewed by the difference in just the pure speed with how fast Goen has been, so it might negate some of that, and you can still see, wow, it's going to be over a 30-second. Oh, there we go. That was the adjustment. I was like, that didn't add up in my mind. So it was about a 4-second difference, 5-second difference there over those 2 additional laps that Goen stayed out and Tucker did that undercut. So it pretty significant. I mean, that's a quarter of the lead, but with the size of the lead that Goen had, he was really protected. And Patterson around again, nice avoidance there for Daniel Keith Jr. to get around on the outside. He'll gladly take that incident point to avoid the contact there. And now we got Brad Williams off to the side, and it looks like he might be calling it a day, or he had some type of damage there that needed to get a tow.
Yeah, definitely. We saw him take the tow. Maybe just, a little bit annoyed with the night, kind of just ready to move on to Charlotte. But yeah, the 89 definitely took the tow. So we'll see if he gets back on track, or maybe, he had an incident where it had to take the tow back to pit lane. But right now, we see on the screen, this is the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. You got Emerson Ardon in the 57, Gregory Joyner in that 85 car, and the 33 car right behind him. Going to be Devin Zimmerman. So, a couple playoff guys right here. We see Gregory Joyner get really out of shape there through the section after the S's there. So, these guys even on newer tires still having trouble keeping the car underneath them.
Yeah, I think it's about a lap and a half until you really feel like the tires are underneath you there. And especially in the S's and in those elevation change turns, like the left, the small left that comes into this turn, the hairpin. Once you get a couple laps into that, it really starts to feel like they're there after a pit stop. Obviously, at the start of the race, you can do what you need to do to warm them up a little bit more. But I think at this point, these guys should start feeling that confidence again in the tires.
Definitely. We see Gregory Joyner kind of lock it up a little bit. They both do. Him and Zimmerman definitely locking it up. That's why you see the smoke on your screen. So these guys are pushing for every single tenth of on the track they can get to try to catch the guys in front of them. But, right here we see the battle for 9th place. Dustin Scruggs in the 11 in front of Nathaniel Mon. But it looks like the 11 car right there, Brandon, doesn't even have a front end. So not too sure if, he doesn't or didn't have that fast repair clicked or what, what's happened here with the 11. But he's definitely got a lot of damage, but he's still, hanging on to 9th place right now.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't think he used a fast repair already because I think he's only made 1 pit stop. So I'm not entirely sure how he comes out with quick damage repair, but not the fast repair, full repair, where it just looks like a new car. That's kind of throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah, it could be one of those things too. Just you think you have it clicked, but you don't, and then you come out of pit lane, your car's still damaged. We saw that happen with quite a few drivers at Talladega, and all three of this, or in the truck series as well as the Xfinity series, where they thought they had used their fast repair, but it wasn't used, and maybe the same type of thing has happened here with Dustin Scruggs in the 11 car. But I mean, I tell you what, he's still making it work. I mean, he's holding his own right now in P9.
Yeah, and really, I mean, yeah, it's going to hurt the top end speed down that back stretch and going up the hill on the front stretch. I'm not sure how the car is going to respond going through the S's without a nose. I haven't been able to try that one myself, but I would imagine it can't feel too comfortable, but he's making it work.
Definitely, and up front though, Nicholas going still up front, but here we are having a battle for 7th place there with Devin Zimmerman and Gregory Joyner. I think, it looks like Devin Zimmerman's been reeling in the 85, but these two guys are playoff drivers, so you got to remember, there's only so many points you can have, in between one another before there's that 5th place cutoff line. So, at a track like this where you can, get as many as possible, because Charlotte and Michigan is going to be quite the race for the cutoff line. So this is an area on the track right here that's really, really tough. You see these guys are going at it right here. The 85 is really charging these corners, and Devin Zimmerman's been being very conservative with it, and you see him getting the runs out of these corners, even though Greg is really charging into him. But again, Greg makes the pass, and he's going to stay in front of him. Don't know how much for longer, because it looks like the 33 car is a little bit quicker than the 85 right now. I think Devin's just kind of taking his time with this pass right here.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of trying to set it up, and this is really good quality road racing here, and you can see the difference where the 85 is going in a little bit hotter into the turns than the 33 is, but Devin Zimmerman in that 33 is getting a better exit, which does set him up better for opportunities like at the end of this long straightaway where they go into turn 1 at the top of the hill. We've seen him go deep into this turn already today. He's going to try it again, try to go into the inside, and great run to the inside, but here comes the crossover from Joyner in the 85, but it's going to be blocked pretty well by Zimmerman. That was a fantastic move from Zimmerman.
And here comes Greg, going to try to come back to him, but it's pretty risky to go too wide through the S's, and what you saw Zimmerman do there on the inside, knowing, Greg was going to have the huge run out of the corner because he was going to, really late apex that corner. Zimmerman kind of parked it in the middle of the corner, so Greg couldn't really get back to the gas because he had to check up, and, they made a little bit of contact. So that's just smart thinking there by that 33 car, kind of just parking it on the exit of the corner. So, Greg isn't able to really roll through the center and get the run off, as you see Craig just really early on the gas through that kink, trying to make a run down here into the hairpin. He's going to lock him up and get to the rear bumper of the 33. Oh, man, these two are going at it right now, Brandon.
Oh, man, that was very, very smooth there from the 85. I thought they were going to have some pretty significant contact there, but the 85 checked up just enough, and rather courteous there after the near very deep entry into that turn. He's going to give it another go here at the end of the backstretch. It looks like they both locked it up a little bit.
Yeah, and you see the lockups are happening right now. I think that's just two guys knowing they're racing for the same position right here, trying to better up one another, and they're just really, really driving. And you see Greg again locking it up with the double left-hander out into, kind of the carousel type corner right here. It kind of reminds you of the corner after the bus stop at Watkins Glen a little bit. It's obviously a lot longer, a lot bigger of a corner, but the same kind of long sweeping carousel, and it, brings you into the final two corners, the left-handers before the front stretch here. So Devin Zimmerman, though, kind of made this pass, and he's kind of driving away a little bit from Greg. For I believe this is for 7th spot right here. But tell you what, man, your pick, Emerson Ardon, started 15th. He's up to 6th place right now. So, Emerson's doing a heck of a job right here coming through the field. He's going to try to run down Jovi Sagiped for a top 5 finish.
Yeah, he's got a shot, still 11 seconds behind, but he's also got a 5 and 6 second buffer behind him, so it's a pretty comfortable position to be in, where you can kind of push it. Whoa, a little slide there, as we're starting to see these drifting moments out of the turns for a lot of people. But that's a nice position to be in. You can kind of push the issue a little bit, if you feel like that's what you need to do to get to the next position. If you can make up that gap, if not, you can just kind of settle in and just keep that position as best as you can. Let the race just come to you in front of for those in front of you.
Definitely, and you see here on board with the leader of the race right now, Nicholas going in the 88. I mean, his lead was about 19, 20 seconds before pit stops, and right now it's only 12 and a half seconds. So, I got to imagine he's probably just being a lot more cautious right now, knowing there's not a pit stop, anything like that. So, if he does make a mistake, it could really cost him in the long run. As you see him running up behind one of our drivers right now that's about to be lapped. I believe that's the 39. Of Stan Hausman. He's going to go to the inside here down the front. Stan's a class act right there, just getting out of the leader's way and letting them go as they barrel down the front stretch up the hill into turn 1 for that 90-degree left-hander.
Yeah, that was good communication. Nick Gowen gets on the driver chat there just to give Stan that heads up where he wants to go, where he'd feel more comfortable making that pass, and Stan going and allowing that move to happen by just drifting out to the right and letting Nick take the inside on the exit. And it's we noted that interval being a lot smaller than it was, but it's actually grown the past couple laps. 2 laps ago, it was around 9 seconds, the difference between Gowen and Tucker, and I think that was just Nick just trying to get the feel of the new set of tires. It's a big adjustment. You might not see the time fall off, but just the feel of the tires around these turns can be very different after a pit stop. And I think that's what was going on there. He's just making sure that he didn't overdrive the cold tires and just make a mistake. So I think he took it a little cautious on that first lap after, and that kind of reeled that time gap in. But since then, he's been 3 seconds, almost 4 seconds quicker in the last 2 laps.
Definitely, and that's just smart driving right there by Nick Gowen. I've talked to him a lot, recently, and he's kind of been, a little down on himself. Thought he had a chance to win at Kansas, but he didn't want to go up there and, kind of race the playoff drivers and, have anyone, make contact with the playoff driver, things like that. He was just really, really cautious. I believe he finished P3 there, and, he's been looking forward to this race. Like I said early on in the show, I know he's put in a ton of time and effort into this race here at COTA, and obviously, if things go smoothly, he's going to be coming to 6 laps to go, and without anything drastic happen, it's looking like it's going to be his day finally here in Speed Racing Network, and it's really great to see. It kind of reminds you of Dean Brummett in the Cup Series. He was waiting for that first win all season long, so. For Nick, man, it's it's looking like it could be his day. Again, it's just keeping the car on track, not looping it yourself or, misjudging a spot to lap one of these guys, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, hopefully, he can finish off these last 6 laps. He has been clearly the dominant car today. He's led all the laps outside of that green flag pit stop rotation. And in fact, I think he even led throughout the entirety of that, being the last car in. And yeah, he has led every single lap. So even through the green flag pit stops, he's led the entire race wire to wire to this point. And now it's just navigating the lap traffic, and I think also just navigating the mental side of it. You get a lead of 15 seconds. It's almost a little easy to just kind of relax a little too much and just kind of start getting out of a rhythm a little just by being so much more relaxed. You can lose a little bit of focus. Hopefully that doesn't happen here. Not trying to put any kind of hex on him by bringing that up, but I think that's going to be the thing of, you're trying to get that first win of the season. Just make sure that you just keep in the same mind frame for these last few laps.
Definitely, and that's the thing. You can easily get out of your rhythm, and that's where mistakes start happening. Obviously for him, he's fortunate enough. Got a 14-second, lead. Obviously, we see a little bit earlier there, we saw Aaron Gerwitz get out of the way to let him go, and that's just kind of the courtesy factor. Aaron Gerwitz getting out of the leader's way, but Aaron doesn't. Nick kind of puts himself in an awkward position, and and has to lock it up, or has too much brake and loops it. that's just kind of the mistakes you can get into as a leader of one of these road races. And, it's a lot of time to lose. So, but fortunate enough so far, the 88 has not had that issue. But again, you just never know. 5 laps is a long, long time as he's coming to 5 laps to go here in a couple corners. So we'll see that. But I mean, man, right now, everything's kind of spaced out around the track here.
Yeah, definitely spaced out. I mean, you're looking at a good 4 seconds or so as maybe the closest gap between drivers. Let's see, like 3 seconds between Daniel Keith Jr. and Dylan Patterson for 12th and 13th. But everybody really spread out. But one thing I do want to do is just give a little tip of the cap to everybody out here, though. This is a track that, we've never seen stock cars on aside from tests. Yes, we've seen Formula One, we've seen Indy, we've seen other cars, but we've never seen NASCAR run a race, a physical race. We saw it the other night in the Coca-Cola iRacing series. So there's limited knowledge from that aspect. This is the first time we've run on this track as a series, so that's completely new as well. So everybody has done a very solid job, and that comes through a lot of practice and a lot of discipline and focus. But everybody's done a solid job here. We've only seen a couple of on-track incidents, only a handful of times where we've seen somebody severely go off track. And aside from Taylor, who had issues, and Patterson, who's gotten looped around a couple times, I mean, you're looking at everybody being within about 90 seconds of the race leader, who's been incredibly impressive. So I would say that everybody here in the field that's still in the running right now on the lead lap, 14 drivers have done a fantastic job tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head there with that, Brandon. That it's been remarkable to see. Obviously it's by no means an easy track. This is absolutely a technical road course. That's why a lot of guys like it. I follow Formula One a lot. I know you do as well. And a lot of the drivers there love this track with the layout, things like that. It's kind of built. A lot of the corners resemble a lot of famous corners at other Formula One circuits, and just the whole elevation change and the combo of corners, things like that. It really is tricky, and it's once you get the hang of it, man, it's a blast to drive, and I'm definitely looking forward to the Cup race for us Sunday night. It's going to be a blast out there. It's going to be interesting to see, what everyone does, in our race as well as obviously in real life this weekend. This place is going to put on an interesting show one way or another.
Oh, without question. And I mean, in the physical cup race, obviously you look at guys like Chase Elliott, who just have tremendous success on the road courses, and I think you and your co-captain have a pretty good backing that's similar to that here when it comes to road courses on the SRN side of things.
Yeah, I definitely I'm going to be putting my money on that 11 car of Jacob Smith. I think he could go easily back to back. He's definitely got some more speed than me here, which, going into it, I kind of figured. I've raced a lot. Oh, Aaron Gerwitz is going to be spun around. I believe that's coming onto the front stretch out of the last corner. So not too sure what happened there. Must have just spun it on his own. So I don't believe there was really a car anywhere near him. And that's just kind of the type of mistake any of these guys running up front, they can't really, have, because, they're spaced out. But as soon as you loop it like this, you kind of close that gap and have yourself, within a battle.
Let's take a look here, and no, just kind of powered out a little too quickly, it looks like, or at least too intensely out of that turn. It's not really one of the turns that you see that on a whole lot. You might see a little bit of a drift slide coming out of it at most. That tells me that Aaron was just a little out of shape in that turn, and just tried to recover by getting into the gas just a little bit too early. Definitely,
and fortunately for him, didn't hit anything, doesn't have to worry about that. He's trying to hang on and get out of this house as quickly as possible. Aaron's right now running 16th, a lap down, so not probably having the night he wishes to have. But I tell you, he can recover at Charlotte and Michigan. He's going to be looking to go into those two races knowing he kind of underperformed himself here, and make up the points that he's going to lose tonight. That's just gonna make this second round that much more interesting going into next week at Charlotte, and then obviously the cutoff race at Michigan. These guys trying to make up points they might have lost, or those guys trying to hang on to those points they gained from a track obviously running the road course here at COTA.
And comparing the first round and the second round, I absolutely love the second round of 3 playoff races. Yes, I know that's probably annoying some traditional fans that love the super speedways like Talladega, but I love that we have this technical wild card of a track that is in the driver's hands and not in the hands of luck, and to some extent like a Talladega was in the start round 1. And then we go to the 2 traditional tracks, the 1.5-mile quad oval, the 2-mile Michigan that we're so used to racing on. So if you don't have a good race here, you can still recover. And because Nick Gowen is so far out in front and not a playoff driver, it's just going to make that points race even tighter, because you're not going to see anybody that's going to get the win and the 3 bonus points that technically the 3 bonus points for getting the win that are added onto the position of the 40 points that you would get there. He's led every lap, so you're not seeing anybody else get the 1 bonus point for leading the lap. He's going to lead the most laps, obviously. So all those bonus points are not going to playoff drivers, which is going to make it even closer as well.
Absolutely, and that's the thing too. You know, those 5 bonus points are going to be with Nick Gowen, so it's only going to make it even that much tighter. You know, it's only going to be the difference in position for our playoff drivers. So that's obviously going to be crucial going into these final 2 races, like you said. So some it's going to heat up, and you never know. Obviously, here with only 3 laps to go, if someone spins out, things like that, they could lose a couple spots, and those points could be huge. Going from 10 drivers to 5. There's not much room for error, so you got to make sure you're not, putting yourself in any bad situations or things like that. And you see here for the battle for 4th and 5th, Aaron Gerwitz spun out right in front of Greg Olenek and Jovi Sagiped. So that's the kind of the thing there for the 31. You see the car spinning out, so you kind of have to check up more than the 3 car does, because you're not sure where the 09 is going to go when they spin out. And Greg lost quite a bit of time as we see this 3 car of Jovi kind of closing in the gap every lap that's gone by so far, trying to run down the 31 to gain another point going into these final 2 races.
Yeah, and Jovi has actually been closing in before that even happened. The spin even happened in front of Greg. So this is going to get interesting here, as Jovi has just been a little bit better here at the late run on this second stint. We've still got about 2 laps to go. So once they get to 2 to go, they're still looking at 7.25 miles. So plenty of time, as Jovi now within a second. Had a little bit of difficulty there in that left, coming back into this double right, which you can kind of look at 2 different ways. I consider it a double right, but you really have that one apex, or that one arc that you're trying to do around the 2 apexes. Now through that left, setting up for the triple right, and within about 9/10 of a second, so we might have some action here for 4th and 5th. For Jovi, it's still going to put him, if it stands as is, 3rd in the playoff points either way, but that 1 point could go a long way at the end of these 3 races.
Oh, absolutely. And it makes me, or reminds me of Daniel Badler last week, making it in by 1 point, or in the truck series, at Richmond, getting into the playoffs. Bobby Anderson was able to lead a lap and get in by 1 point. So it just shows you, how important every single point you can get if you're a playoff driver. We see Greg Joyner right here in front of 2 non-playoff drivers. He's in 7th, trying to hang on to 7th place so he doesn't lose, 8th or 9th. That could be very, very big for him, because if he holds on to 7th, he'd be 5th place in the standings, and he'd have, 3 points over Mike Lepicki. So that could, be huge. We see Dustin Scruggs right there really, really get out of shape and hit the arm core barrier right there and really hit the guardrail. So again, makes you wonder if he's gonna, be down on power, things like that, and give up spots to these other playoff drivers. But right now, with 2 laps to go, the 3 car right now trying to drive up to the 31 of Greg Olenek to take over 4th place, Brandon.
And hat tip to just the 11 car itself for being an absolute tank out there, taking that shot with that damage already out there. But good racing here, coming out of that right into this downhill left between the 31 and the 3, as they're going to hit this hairpin. And this is a perfect opportunity to dive in there. Jovi took a look at it, decided not to. And it looks like we got a couple of Stan Houseman getting out of the way there. Respect for that move, letting them race for position and not getting in between.
Yeah, definitely. If Stan didn't have to get out of the way like he did, but if he doesn't, it would have made this, last hairpin here down the backstretch that much more interesting for these two guys trying to navigate around them. But he did, the gentleman move there, got out of the way and let these two guys, battle it up. But Greg Olenek going to get out of shape. He's going to spin it. Jovi Sagipik going to make contact with him.
Oh,
the white flag is out.
Now the question is going to be, how's that damage going to play out for the 3 and the 31? Hopefully for their sake, it does not cost them any positions, as they will round out the top 5 as we stand. But the man that has been absolutely controlling this race, the 88, Nick Gowen, looking to go wire to wire, and he's got about 2.5 miles, 2.25 miles left to do just that.
Yeah, and you definitely got to, if you're the 3 car, we saw him have heavy impact with the 31. You got to wonder if, hopefully there's not engine damage, anything like that, to where the 3 would blow up, because that would be huge for Jovi, right? If he is not able to get around, he'd lose a lot of points to these other playoff drivers. So you hope the 3 car can make it. But Nick Gowen, man, out of the last hairpin the first hairpin, coming down the back stretch, he's about halfway home to grabbing his first ever victory here in Speed Racing Network. So, as long as nothing catastrophic happens here to this 88 car, it's going to be the day he's been looking for here all season long, man.
And it's got to be a great feeling right now in that car, knowing that all the work that he's put in the past few weeks to study up on this track, and it showed in qualifying and practice, where he's almost 2 seconds quicker than the second fastest in both of those sessions, and 20 seconds quicker than second place Rhett Tucker here over the 25 laps today. And that's even with, it looks like he kind of backed it down just a little bit the last few laps, just making sure that nothing goes wrong, because we saw that pace kind of slow up just a little bit. But Nick Gowen, this has been an absolutely impressive evening that he's put together across all 3 sections. He pulls off the hat trick, winning practice, getting the pole in qualifying, and on his way to his first win.
He's going to bring it out of the last corner. Come out of turn 20. He's going to see the start-finish line, that checkered flag. Nicholas Gowen going to bring that 88 Sandwich Man Racing car for Bronco Motorsports to victory lane and grab his first ever victory here at Speed Racing Network. As long as Rhett Tucker gets through these final corners cleanly, he's going to take home P2. So it's going to be a 1-2 finish for Bronco Motorsports. As long as Rhett gets through this last corner, which I'm sure he will. So the 81 car going to bring it home P2, and then it's going to be a little ways behind him where we'll see this 6 car, Daniel Ballard, coming into the final 2 corners. Daniel Ballard able to, secure a P3 after a little bit of contact with Rhett early on. So Daniel Ballard going to come home P3 unless he loops it here coming into this final corner.
And what a past 8 days for Daniel Bowdler. Has made it by 1 point after Dover, and he's going to take full advantage of that and wind up second in the playoff points after race number 1 here in the second round of the playoffs.
And here we go. Jovi Sagipek going to be coming home 4th place after that, 2 laps to go, contact with him and Greg Olenek, but Jovi gets it home 4th, and Greg able to hold 5th place pretty firmly there. So those 2 guys that we saw, that very impressive for those 2 drivers. And we see here Devin Zimmerman, who's going to be 6th place coming into the final corner here in turn 20. He'll bring it home 6th place.
Yeah, a bit of excitement early on in the race there for Devin, but a solid drive for him. And this 6th in the race, but maybe more importantly, if you look at the long run, definitely more importantly, he'll be 4th of the playoff drivers, so he's going to see himself ahead of the cut line by a pretty decent margin. Gregory Joyner will be 5th out of the playoff 10, and he will be the bubble driver going to Charlotte. And then you got to go 3 positions back for Mike Lepicki and Dylan Patterson coming across, as they'll be racing for 11th and 12th.
Yeah, Mike Lepicki able to, come home 11th, and he's only going to be 3 points behind Gregory Joyner for that final playoff spot with 2 races to go. So plenty of time left for him to gain some points and get that final position. So, an interesting race here, Brandon. It was definitely, one to watch. It was just so interesting seeing how everyone attacked this track and get their feet underneath them early on, as we saw quite a bit of contact early on.
Yeah, and I mean a couple things, like it's great on the drivers for making a road course racing is tough to follow compared to oval racing, but we did not see a whole lot of incidents on track, and that's a big credit to the drivers. Also want to thank this man, Nick Cohen, for making the math easy when it comes to the playoff points, because we don't have to worry about bonus points for anybody in these positions. We can just take it easy on that one. But big congratulations to Nick Cohen, first win in SRN, and doing it on what is very likely the toughest track we'll see, whether it be this season or even next season.
Definitely, and it's again just the testament to the amount of work and effort he's put in this week. We'll see this 88 car burn it down. We see his teammate Red Tucker, who came home P2, already burn it down. So Nick Gowen gonna give the virtual fans a show, I'm sure, here eventually. Especially for a guy that getting his first ever victory in Speed Racing Network. Got to imagine it's going to mean a lot to him, and we're obviously going to get to talk to him here eventually once we start interviewing our top 3 finishers on the night.
Yeah, I know it's an F1 track, but I think he's waiting for the little placard to show up there for the top 3 cars to line up on the straightaway. Not seeing much of a celebration here for a first-time winner.
It's almost like he's a little nervous to do it.
Just teasing us right now with this one.
Oh, I know. I believe he's waiting for all of his teammates to catch back up.
I was gonna throw out. He can't be out of gas. He was the last one to make a pit stop, so we know he's good there.
Yeah, we got the 4 Bronco cars that are still in the race. I'm sure now they'll start burning it down. And sure enough,
synchronized ahead of the Olympics.
There it is. So took a little while, but there's the show that all these virtual fans were waiting for. Nicholas Gowen gonna burn it down, getting his first ever victory in Speed Racing Network. Gonna burn it down with his teammates at Bronco Motorsports. I tell you what, too, that 88 car looks really, really good. It's a kind of an inverse scheme of the old Dale Earnhardt car. It's obviously white instead of the black, so it's a good-looking ride, and you see him there burning it down with his teammate Gregory Joyner.
Kind of that mix of Kevin Harvick with the Dale Jr. numbers there. It's a good-looking car, and it's a good-looking day for Bronco. 4 drivers in the top 10. Very impressive, and makes you think they spent a lot of time practicing on the track and also practicing the celebrations here on the front stretch.
Definitely. They had obviously they had one mission tonight, get the win and have another solid points day as a team. Again, like you said, 4 guys in the top 10. That's going to be tough for Tank Racing or RSR to catch them, and they just continue to probably increase their lead in the point standings for the team standings. So hats off to them, and obviously Nick Owen putting in an impressive performance here tonight. And obviously first place, Brandon, that's going to be the 88 car, Nicholas Gowen for Bronco. His teammate Rhett Tucker in the 81 car are going to come home second place. Third place going to go to Daniel Badler for R&D Motorsports. Fourth place going to be Jovi Sagiped for Roel Smith Racing. And rounding out the top 5 is going to be Greg Olenek from Rev Racing.
Yeah, then we got a couple playoff drivers in the next 5. Devin Zimmerman in 6th. Emerson Arden, third best of the non-playoff drivers, in 7th. Gregory Joyner will be 5th on the bubble in the playoff standings after this one with an 8th place finish. Dustin Scruggs had an adventurous 9th place finish. We saw him off track more than a couple times. Nathaniel Mann rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, at 11th place going to be Mike Lepicki from Tank Racing. He's going to be the first, playoff driver outside the top 5 if it was, cut right now. Another playoff driver right behind him is going to be Dylan Patterson in that 8 car. 13th is going to go to Daniel Keith Jr. 14th, Zachary Taylor in the 14 car for Tank Racing. Definitely not the night he probably wanted, coming home 14th. Again, Bo Tiffany in the 13 car for Team SRN. 16th place is going to be Stan Hausman. 17th is going to be Rev Racing's Aaron Gerwitz. So he's going to be the final playoff driver. So he'll be, looking up the hill trying to get into the playoff 5 for the final race at Texas. 18th place is going to be Brad Williams in the 89 and Derek De Silva from Tank Racing in 19th.
Yeah, and if you're Aaron Gerwitz, you're going to be last in the point standings when it comes to the playoffs, but you still look at it. 9 points is a margin that can definitely be made up in the next 2 races at Charlotte and Michigan.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to get our first interview here tonight. It's going to be our 3rd place finisher. It's going to be Daniel Ballard. It's Jake Rowell and Brandon Domain. up in the SRM booth, buddy. How's it feeling after coming home P3 at such a tough track as Circuit of the Americas?
Definitely got to feel good about it. It's been a little bit of a long week for me. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, so didn't get to practice as much as I was hoping to this week, but definitely a solid finish for us here.
Yeah, and I mean it's a interesting 8 days being the man that moved your way up and got into this second round by 1 point, and now seeing yourself second in the playoff standings. How do you feel going into Charlotte and Michigan for the next 2 legs of this?
I really feel pretty good. I really had the feeling that if I could get into this second round, I could have a really good shot at making it to the championship round. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Charlotte's not necessarily one of my favorite tracks in the world, but I think I had a good finish tonight, so I think we could squeak through next week and then, move on to Michigan where I feel a little more comfortable and make it to Texas where so far, I got to say I'm undefeated. So I got to toot that horn while I can.
Definitely, buddy. And, we earlier in the race, man, there was a point in time where, it was kind of worried for you and Rhett Tucker when you guys made contact. At that point, I don't believe you had made your pit stops. Were you worried you were going to lose too much time with that damage? Not able to use your fast repair, obviously, until you came down pit lane the one time.
Not too bad. I knew Rhett was a little bit faster than me, and I don't really know exactly what happened there on that wreck. I don't know if Rhett kind of almost missed the entry to that, or he took it a little bit extra wider than I really was expecting him. I hadn't seen him take it that wide before, and I kind of got in a little bit deeper than what I did before, and I think those two things just kind of came together, and we made some contact, and he went around. But luckily for him, he was able to recover nicely, and end up with a second place finish. I don't think anybody was going to go up there and touch the 88, though.
Yeah, and I mean the 88 was in a different class tonight, but at the end of the day, third place here in Austin. How did you feel about this race for a first time SRN has been at the Circuit of the Americas?
No, it was definitely interesting, man. I mean, this is completely different animal of a road course, than anything else we've ever ran in this league. And, I know a lot of people consider me to be one of the better guys on the road courses, I guess. But, this one's got its own little tricks and things like that. And, it just takes somebody like Nick to figure that out. And, man, he can put a whooping on the rest of us, that's for sure.
Definitely, buddy. Well, before we let you go, Daniel, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank Sparkle and Shine again. I got to thank them every chance I get. Gracious enough to sponsor me this year, and not just me, but lots of other guys, and sponsor some special events we've done in the league. So hats off to him. Thanks to SRN and everybody that helps put this on and allows us to come out here and do this and have a good time. And I got to thank R&D Motorsports and David Duke, and just everybody that helps me out and gets me through each week.
Well, great job tonight, Daniel. Third place finish and in great position for the last two races here in that opening round. We'll let you go back and celebrate.
All right, thanks, guys.
And there we have it with P3. Now we're going to get our second place finisher up here in the booth. That's going to be the 81 car of Rhett Tucker for Bronco Motorsports. Rhett Tucker, man, it's Jake Rowell and Brandon Domain up here in the SRM booth, buddy. How you feeling after tackling this animal out here in Austin, Texas?
What's up, boys? I'm happy with it, man. I came with a goal, and I can gladly say I accomplished it, man. I beat everybody I needed to for the points. And shout out to Nick, man. He killed it.
Yeah, how does that feel after obviously being the number one ranked driver in the first round of 3 races? You come into this one, and you're going to be still holding on to that number one spot with 2 more traditional tracks coming up.
Man, I got to start practicing more. I had like 3 laps of practice earlier. Came in, qualified, saw Nick was just on a different level. And I really just had, I was zeroed in on beating the 3, Jovi. He's second in points. I just wanted to, extend my points lead as much as I could. Sorry, Jake. But I'll take it, man. It was a good race for me.
It's all love. It's all love. We saw you and Daniel battle. I just asked him this, but what was going through your mind when you two made contact And obviously it sent you spinning around, and obviously with no yellow flags, you lose that kind of time. What was just kind of give the fans at home the thought process that was going through your mind at that moment.
And I had bad deja vu. 10 years ago, I was running an SCCA car at Mid Ohio, and we were hitting like a 180-degree hairpin, and all of a sudden I heard tires chirping, and I see in my right, like passenger side mirror, a car just getting closer and closer. And next thing I knew it, he drilled me in the I don't know, right side door panel, and that's exactly what happened. I just tried to keep it together, and luckily for me, Zach Taylor got a piece of him like a couple of corners after that, so we got my spot back and came in the pits and got a quick repair.
Definitely great. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
I was just gonna say it was definitely a nice recovery, and amazingly enough, just realized this. That's 7 top 2 finishes in your last 9 races. What happened around that midway point in the season that all of a sudden you've been darn near unbeatable?
I really committed to this series around then, man. I had another league I was trying to run the same night, but I dropped that, and I really focused on the Speed Racing Network stuff. I'm really gunning for this one, man.
Definitely, man. Well, before we let you go, Rhett, gonna give you this time to shout out anyone out you'd like to thank.
I gotta thank the boys at Bronco, talking me through it, helping me out. Pointers, you guys doing the killer broadcast. 3 nights a week, every week. Speed Racing Network, Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia, Malware Bites, Salt Zombie. And everybody that actually tunes in and watches this stuff. It's pretty cool. I gotta catch a plane at 6:45 in the morning. I'm flying to Austin to go to this race this weekend.
Oh, well, there you have it. So, he's spending the night here late at night trying to get the win here. Now he's going to get to go out to COTA and watch the race. Well, buddy, we'll let you go and get some rest before that flight and enjoy the weekend, man.
Yes.
And hopefully he has a good time at the races, and hopefully he hits up Black's Barbecue. That is the place I would say to go to, though it's probably going to be packed all weekend.
Oh, I got to imagine. Yeah, pretty jealous of him. I'm actually trying to go out for the F1 race later this year, but we're gonna bring the 88 car of Nicholas Goen. Gonna grab his first victory, man. It is Jake Rowell and Brandon Domain up here in the SRM booth. How you feeling after pulling off the dub tonight?
Very, very. Finally got one. I couldn't be happier right now. I still got the adrenaline going. So I mean, it's I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, we tried to do our part in the booth. Neither of us wanted to give you the broadcast jinx tonight after seeing how quick you were in practice and qualifying. So glad we could help out a little bit there. But what were you doing so different on the track? I mean, there was most of the laps you were out there 2 seconds quicker than the second fastest car. What did you find out there that made you so much faster?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you what it was to be exact. I mean, I've had this race circled since the beginning of the season. That and Daytona Road. I mean, it's like I love coming to road courses. Unlike Daytona, this one's very technical. You got to be very precise with everything that you're doing. Very patient on the throttle. It's like, because if you roast those tires, you're going to be fighting that the rest of your run. So that was my main priority, was just taking care of those tires, making sure I was get steady into the corner, steady off. I think that's probably, putting all that together definitely helped me find those 2 seconds over the other guys. But I mean, Rhett, he had me worried there for a little bit, because I saw he was like up to 8.5 seconds behind me after my spin. But we'll get to that in a second. Just I've been practicing this for a while, like this one. So that definitely paid off tonight, and I couldn't be happier.
Definitely, and that's kind of the thing we were talking about when you were up to almost a 20-second lead. Brandon and I were sitting here going, the only thing that's going to beat Nick is himself. And the last couple of weeks we've kind of seen you, make a couple mistakes. Obviously, last week at Dover, don't want to bring it up, too much. Obviously, had a couple speeding penalties, kind of hurt your chances there at Dover. You're one of the faster cars. I know you had said after Kansas when we had talked, you didn't really want to go race Rhett and Jovi, with it being the, one of the playoff races. And obviously those
Sure.
two guys in the playoffs, and make a mistake or, collect those guys and anything. But man, you get it done here at COTA. Like you said, you spun out. We didn't even see it because you were so far out in the lead and we were focusing on battles, back in the pack. But buddy, I know you're going to enjoy it tonight and enjoy
Absolutely.
this first victory. It's been a long time coming. And obviously, before we let you get back down to Bronco Motorsports, where I know you guys are going to get a little wild, little X Games mode, is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank my teammates. They, definitely helped me during any kind of like practice sessions that we put up. Teammates through like Bronco Motorsports, every single one of them, for being supportive, and especially like after these last couple of weeks, as you said, just my biggest obstacle was myself with the speeding penalties, and that was one thing I made sure like I was 2 miles an hour under the speed limit when I finally went to go pit. But yeah, Bronco Motorsports, Sandwich Man Racing, Sports Memorabilia. Definitely appreciate their help with the team, and thank you guys for putting on a broadcast each and every week. You guys do a great job. I definitely enjoy going back and watching the broadcast, and I'll definitely enjoy this one especially tonight.
Absolutely. I was just gonna say, well, you're gonna enjoy this one even more. So, hats off to you, Nick. Congrats on the first win. Drove a flawless race, even though if you did spin out once, it didn't matter, man, because you were the class of the field all night. So, Nick, from us here at SRN, congrats on your first win, and enjoy it.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Definitely easy to to enjoy a race like that when you go back and watch it. Just absolute dominance there tonight from Nick going more than 20 seconds out in front with an impressive win here to start off round 2 of the playoffs.
Absolutely. It is impressive. And now, obviously, we move into the second race of, the second round for our playoffs here in the Xfinity Series. We'll be at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Queen City 150. You can catch that out next Thursday, May 27th at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I got to imagine, man, this is, back to the bread and butter for, NASCAR racing on the 1.5 mile. So it's going to be an interesting show next Thursday. And, a lot of guys will be thrilled to be back, obviously, on those 1.5 miles.
Yeah, and it's going to be the interesting balance too. You're going to have some guys that are going to want to try to make up as much ground as they could after this opening round. Starting on a road course might not necessarily be like you were saying, the bread and butter there. So it's going to be that balance of trying to get everything you can to make up that gap, but not reaching too far and making a mistake and really compounding that deficit that they might be in.
Definitely, and obviously our next broadcast is going to be Sunday night. May 23rd, 8:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That's when the Cup Series for Speed Racing Network. We'll be out at obviously Circuit of the Americas for the All American 120. Looking really forward to this race, Brandon. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be the same type of, just keeping it on the track, being as fast as possible, but. Like Nick Gowen said, really what it all comes down to is not using up the tires too much early in the run because it really pays off later on in the run. So looking forward to this thing. It's going to be an awesome race, I think, Sunday night.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch you and everybody else in the Cup Series getting at it there in Austin. We'll tell you a whole lot of fun racing on this track, even as nerve-wracking as it can be with some of those technical turns. But getting out there racing on a track like Circuit of the Americas is really a great time, and hope you enjoy it on Sunday.
I appreciate it, buddy. I know you'll be in the booth, I believe. So just don't ask you pick me so I don't get that bad juju from the broadcasters, Jink.
I mean, it worked tonight, not picking the guy that was the fastest. So we'll see how it goes on Sunday. I'll take that into consideration, but if you give me a good reason to pick you, it might be hard not to.
Fair enough. But again, as we always remind you guys, watching from all of us at Speed Racing Network, go faster.